It's all good.
Episode 3, Roto RX. We are back. Andy Singleton, People's Pen on Twitter, People's Pen in Reddit, on Reddit. I don't even know what the proper pronunciation would be for that, but I'm here, as always, with my buddy, Tehol, Mr. Beddict, 143 of Razzball lore, Razzball fame, the elder guys. How are you?
Doing good. I'm doing good. I'm just enjoying the first week of fantasy baseball here. It's been a long time, and I missed it. So I do.
Yeah, it looks like you are enjoying the festivities. You got the shades on this week, and that is a sign. That is a sign of the spring coming back.
Exactly. It's real hot out here. I don't know what's going on. The sun's blazing. Got a headache last night. Got kind of wild. So I got the sun blaring in my eyes right now, and I'm just trying to relax and talk a little baseball.
All right. Well, let's get right into it then. As I mentioned, you represent Razzball. I am self-adopted representing Reddit, and I want to first acknowledge and congratulate the Fantasy Baseball subreddit for hitting 20,000 subscribers this week. Kudos to you. Hats off. Round of applause. All the moderators continue doing an excellent job and excellent work over there.
20,000?
20,000.
Damn.
20,000. It's a big number. So congratulations to everybody that's been a part of that and helping to get it to that number. I also want to stress, as we were saying, this is the first week of baseball, have some patience. Do not go overboard. Do not overreact to positive or negative numbers. You can react to positive numbers. Don't react to negative numbers, or overreact, I should say. What is your take on being patient in the fantasy baseball season, especially the first week or so, Mr. Beddict?
For me, I'm a little overly loyal. You don't want to give up on guys real quick. You don't want to get overly excited about guys real quick. Like I was saying the other day, like my boy Souza, I'm like, I told you he's gonna hit 30 home runs this year, and then everybody's throwing in his contact rate and this and that, and he's gonna fall off. Which of course he will fall off, but I'm thinking he still is gonna hit 25 to 30 bombs. But that doesn't matter. The point is, you just ride with guys when they're hot, like the under the radar guys. And, once they fall off a cliff, then you cut bait and move on. But as far as the stars, I don't think you can ever give up on those dudes unless that's how you get got in trades. People buying low on you, on these guys, when you're just like, can't take it anymore. And then as soon as you sell him off or do whatever you got to do, then he goes off and turns back into form. Like Cargo last year, like what happened? People were legit fantasy dudes. I'm not going to name names, though. You know who you are. We're telling people to straight up drop Carlos Gonzalez. I'm not kidding. It sounds crazy now after what he did to end the season, but I'm not joking. People were legit saying, you can drop this dude. Look what happened.
Yeah. Well, that's a sign of people over panicking. But there is a cutoff point where you have to realize this isn't an overreaction. This is a legit panic. 2 years ago, Prince Fielder got off to a horrible start, and I was waiting, and then of course the injuries set in and just never did anything. Last year was his bounce back year, but you can't fall victim of waiting too long. But you do got to give these guys a chance. I, by rule of thumb, would say for a positional player, give them a 2-week grace period, and for a starting pitcher, I'd say give them at least 4 starts to really kind of feel if you got to start, panicking. I mean, this is not for the fringe guys. This is for the guys that you drafted to be a guy that you count on. Don't, cut bait after two poor starts or whatever the case is. But, give him an opportunity. If it's a guy that you just drafted to take a flyer on and he had a bad start, maybe even 2, and you don't want to hold on any longer because somebody else is out there, by all means, go for it. But don't overreact. I said you can overreact to positive things. One of those being Trevor's story, and he is the hottest news this week. I don't know if you can hear in the background. I'm playing Never Ending Story theme.
Greatest movie ever made.
I don't know how many of our viewers. I don't even know if we have any viewers still that are left after this opening. But the Never Ending Story, Trevor's story.
Shout out to you.
All this guy does is hit home runs. He's got 4 hits in his career now. They're all home runs. I guaranteed he would be a 2020 guy. But if you're rounding all the bases, he can't steal any.
Exactly.
There we go. I just like seeing you dance on this show. Anyway, so are you feeling like this is legit? I mean, a lot of people are worried that Jose Reyes is only facing commissioner suspension now. The charges have been dropped against him. They think Trevor Story is at an all-time high, that his value can't possibly get any higher. And a lot of people are feeling like this is the time to get out of owning him. I think, quite frankly, you're a little nuts if that's what you're thinking at this point, because, again, all this guy does is just crush balls. And I think, well, that sounded a little weird, but what's your take on Trevor Story and crushing balls?
Crushed quite a few balls in my day, but Trevor Story, to me, was my sleeper pick of the year. Razzball staff fantasy picks. Could have been rookie of the year. I forget who I went with on that. It's been a couple weeks. My memory isn't what it used to be. But I do know that Story was my sleeper pick of the year. Was going real late in the draft. So I'm wishing I actually followed my own advice and drafted him everywhere. Maybe I made those picks after all my drafts. I'm not sure. But it's too bad because I'm already regretting it. Instead of reaching on guys, like I wouldn't even call it reach, but going ADP with Xander Bogart. I mean, this guy, for some reason, I end up with this guy every single season, although he finished great last year, I guess. But I just always expected the power to come up, the speed to come up. He doesn't really have either of those. Story does have both of those things, and that's what fantasy turns me on. And that's what he does that is real sexy to me, and I'm feeling it. And I think he's hitting in the top of that lineup. It's a great lineup. Granted, these pitchers might figure some weakness out with him, but he's going to continue to rake. And like you said, he's got speed, so if he can ever get on base without yakking it, we might get to see a couple of those too.
Yeah, I think he's really corrected the hitting woes that plagued him earlier in his career. And you're starting to see it really unfold. Ray's coming back. They're on the hook for a salary. I don't think they just, buy him out. But I could see them losing on a trade, eating some of that salary. I think you keep Story at this point. Would you agree, or are you trying to trade him if you have him in fantasy?
Well, it just depends on if somebody got real nuts. So what are they going to get? What is somebody going to give you for him? People are probably sending low ball offers right now anyway, like mid-tier fantasy starting pitchers. Like, what are people really offering for this guy? I mean, I have no clue.
You mentioned Xander Bogaerts, and just, to go kind of give an example. If you have Story now, would you offer Story for a Bogart?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'd still take Bogart. I still have to take Bogart sitting in that lineup. I mean, the RBIs are there. The average will probably end up being higher. And plus, he's still real young and could explode at any time also, although the power, again, may never quite be what I thought it was going to be. Some guy had the audacity 2 years ago to tell me this guy had 30 homer potential, and I was just like, for whatever reason, it's always stuck with me. But I'm like, really? This guy is just a weak hitting, no speed having. Yet I draft him every year too high. So I mean, what am I doing? What am I saying?
Don't sell him short though. The power's coming. He's still young. He's only like 23. The power's coming. Give him a chance. Okay. Man. Give him a chance.
Then no, I would not trade. I would not trade Bogarts for Story.
All right. I don't know if that trade exists, but I see a lot of people reacting to the get out of Story now. A big name that is now injured was a first-round draft pick by many, probably the top third baseman off the board. Josh Donaldson came down with a little calf injury. We got Dr. Selene Parekh, our own fantasy doctor. He's going to tell us a little bit more about what that means. Take it away, Doc.
Blue Jays third baseman Josh Donaldson has a calf strain. He's listed as day-to-day, but if you dig deeper into this injury, it is a little bit problematic. The calf muscle goes all the way from the back of your knee all the way to the heel bone, and it's the longest and strongest tendon and muscle of the human body. When you have a strain, there usually is something causing that irritation, something causing that strain. In general, look for 2 to 4 weeks to be the recovery of these strains. But sometimes these injuries, these strains, are an indication of something bigger going on, where the tendon itself is starting to fall apart, or the tendon has a lot of what we call tendinopathy going on, where there's some degeneration going on. Now, there is some indication, especially in professional athletes like NFL players, where this is known as a prodromal period, a period before which the actual Achilles tendon tears. So I'm not saying that he's necessarily heading that way, but it's certainly a little bit worrisome when you hear calf strain and it's been going on for a few weeks. Again, look for him to be out for 2 to 4 weeks. I think the day-to-day indication is a little bit optimistic, but 2 to 4 weeks is probably the more realistic timeline.
So as we see, your stepfather is living a life of luxury. Maybach.
What's that?
Is that why you had to throw the shades on? You feeling like you with stepdaddy riding shotgun?
Like I got a stunt like my daddy, man. Selene Parekh, greatest doctor probably maybe in the world. In appendectomy, what is he talking about with the thing? I'm confused. He's talking about
Josh Donaldson's calf. We had a little sidebar.
He's talking about his Achilles possibly tearing. I'm a little concerned. I gotta say, I'm like, whoa, slow down in the Maybach. I know you're cruising probably 160 recording this video. Whatever. He's a legend. He does multiple things at once. But, 2 to 4 weeks. That's really disappointing. I think I only have him in one league, but owners have to be kind of shook up there. I mean, we're talking about Achilles. We're talking about appendectomy or whatever he's talking. I can't even remember the terms he's using, but my God.
Yeah,
I'm scared.
You are definitely not following in your stepfather's footsteps. If you can't even pronounce these medical terms, I don't.
You seen Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield? I'm going back to med school. Just like daddy.
All right, there you go. So, listen, I would be particularly worried about that. We're in the first week of the season, and you've got a hitter that needs to drive off his legs for power, having weakness in the calf, extending to the Achilles. That's not the sign I want to hear right now. Listen, the doctor said hopefully it's he gets the time to rest 2 to 4 weeks, and then he's okay. But I don't know. If you spent the first round pick on Josh Donaldson, are you feeling like this is the guy you want to hold on to right now? Or are you trying to sell him and even get, 80 cents on the dollar for him if you can? What's your take?
I don't think I'm going to panic. I think I'm going to hold off here a little bit. I'm going to see if he kind of works it out and we get a real answer of what's really going on here. And if he comes back in a couple of days, it'll be all good. I mean, is it for sure that he's going on the DL?
No, it is not. It is not at this time. But
let's wait. I can't trade G. Donaldson, the MVP, 2 days into the season with a tweaked calf, just because Daddy's telling me that he might tear his Achilles. I mean, I trust this man more than I trust anybody on earth. But I still am not selling Josh Donaldson at this moment. That's just me, though.
All right, and that that's perfectly fair. However, I will say this is like that Prince Fielder kind of injury that you look at it opening the season and you say, all right, I'm going to wait, and then before you know it, it's 3 weeks into the season, and you're like, oh man, what the hell did I just do? So I'm a little worried about this one, but I don't have Donaldson anywhere, so I don't need to be over panicked. If I did though, I honestly I probably would float around right now to see kind of what shook up.
The Story.
What's that? Would I trade Story for Donaldson?
Yeah.
I trade Dr. Parekh for Trevor Story right now.
How dare you?
Blasphemy. All right. Maybe that's a little bit of a stretch. I could not do that. But
yeah,
one guy I definitely would not trade, and I would be trying to trade for if I can't obtain him is your buddy, my buddy, and I'm talking about Juan Nicasio, because this guy is dealing right now. We talked about him a couple weeks ago. I don't remember if it was episode 1 or 2, because he was just tearing the spring training Cactus League up, throwing everybody out by way of strikeout. And we realized that ever since he left Colorado, he's been a dominant strikeout pitcher. He's carried that over into the season now. So if for some unknown reason this guy is lingering around your waiver wire, don't hesitate. This guy is the real deal, and Tehol's going to tell you more about that.
He who hesitates masturbates. You got to get on this guy ASAP if he's not owned in your league. I'm assuming maybe he is. If you read Razzball, supposedly I've been hearing that some of the higher-ups have been hyping him up a little bit. Again, I don't read anybody's posts but my own. It's just kind of sort of a thing I've grown accustomed to. So I don't know, but from what I've been hearing on Twitter, they were very high on Nicasio this year. I was a big fan back in the Colorado days. Of course, no pitcher in Colorado ever amounts to anything and is able to do anything. Even my boy Jorge De La Rosa is still there, and now he's the opening day starter, which is just disgusting. I mean, I like that guy more than anybody, but I mean, come on. How do they let Nicasio go? How are they letting anybody who's like anybody as a pitcher leave that area? I mean, I don't know what's going on in Colorado with the pitching staff. But, yeah, I'm sold on Nicasio, man. I've always been a believer.
He can't pitch in Colorado. What Ubaldo Jimenez had like one good year, and that was it.
Oh, he was so nasty that year.
That's it in like Rocky's history, though. I'm of course kidding. Didn't Mike Hampton have a good year there too? All right, let's move along. Nicasio, definitely get him. I believe I saw somewhere today he's still available in something like 30 or 40% of leagues. I don't know how it's possible. Again, it's Juan Nicasio. Get him if you can, yo. Now let's move to the Rangers closing situation. Shawn Tolleson has the job, stunk up his first offering at closing a game out for the 2016 season, and now people are starting to panic, worried about him possibly losing his job. You think he is in any jeopardy of losing his closer role with the Texas Rangers?
No. What, he had a clean save? He had a clean save his first time out. I mean, is anybody safe against the Seattle Mariners lineup? I mean, are you kidding me? This could be the greatest lineup in baseball history. What is he supposed to do? I mean, he's getting shelled. Robinson Cano is hotter than anybody right now. He's just lighting his ass up. What do you want him to do? I mean, it's one bad save off. I mean, what you gonna take away the job already? I mean, he had a clean save the first time out. It's just one bad thing. I mean, it's all good. I mean, he had to face some meat of the lineup there.
Yeah, totally agree. This is what we opened the show with. Over panicking. Just have some patience. The stat line looks horrible right now because it was that bad of an outing. But you know, he'll get it back. He's always been a strikeout pitcher. You want him in that closer role. Texas was 13th last year with 62 save opportunities. You got a full season of Cole Hamels. You got Yu Darvish coming back at some point. This is a team with playoff hopes and should reach the playoffs. There's going to be save opportunities there. It's Tolleson's job. He's not losing it. Don't over panic. And if you want to grab anybody not named Tolleson in Texas, go and get yourself Keone Keela, especially if you're in a holds league, because this kid throws fire, and he's a pure strikeout pitcher. Coming out, I could see him kind of being Betances light this season. A young guy just coming up and throwing heat. So don't worry about Tolleson losing out on saves. The job is still his. One guy, though, we're going to get into another doctor report real quick. We're going to try to roll through some of these people right now, is Andrew Heaney, highly touted prospect, been traded around the league a few times now, was finally going to start to get an opportunity from the beginning of the season in LA this year with the Angels. However, he is now facing a setback. So let's see what the doctor says about Andrew Heaney.
This is Dr. Selene Parekh, the fantasy doctor. Andrew Heaney, pitcher for the Angels, has a left forearm strain. Now, on the surface, it sounds like it's not a big deal because it's just a strain. But if you dig deeper into this area, it actually can be quite problematic. If it turns out to be just a strain only in kind of the muscle belly area of the forearm muscles, then you're looking at 2 to 4 weeks of a recovery. The bigger issue is whether or not this involves the area of the tendons where they attach into the elbow. And that's similar to the area of where Tommy John surgery is performed. Now, if this is the area where he's having problems, look for him to get injections with steroids, PRP, which is platelet-rich plasma, and do a lot of rehabilitation to try to bounce back from this. And again, if this is in the area of what I call the danger zone, it's not surprising if some of these pitchers go on and off the disabled list throughout the season and eventually have Tommy John surgery once this gets worse. So we'll have to see how he does. It's not clear where his strain is, whether it's in the safe zone in the muscle bellies or in the danger zone more where the tendons attach into that elbow. But hopefully the Angels will see him back on the mound within 2 to 4 weeks.
Danger zone. Do you have a danger zone? You look like you have a danger zone with that outfit.
All that makes me think of is Top Gun, man. Tom Cruise, Goose, and Iceman, and whatever the kid. I've actually never even seen Top Gun. I think I'm the only person in the world who's never seen Top Gun all the way through, at least from my age bracket.
That you should be ashamed of yourself. You knew the never-ending story immediately.
Or Field of Dreams.
All right, you should watch that as a baseball fan, but I can give you the pass on missing Field of Dreams. But Top Gun, you have to see beginning to end. I mean, that was like literally every kid wanted to be Tom Cruise after that movie. So
I'm more of a Val Kilmer guy.
Well, all right. So Andrew Heaney, he's not really in the danger zone, but he's on the fringe of it. Are you worried about this guy? He was supposed to have a monster breakout season.
Yeah, I'm worried about this guy, man. He's getting passed around like the village bicycle. I got nothing. I don't know. He's been to team to team to team to team to team. He's a big prospect, but everybody just can't wait to get rid of the dude. Now he's hurting himself on opening day. I mean, not opening day, but his first start of the season. It doesn't get any more disappointing than that. I'm very concerned. I'm with the doctor. He's in the Maybach. I'm feeling whatever he's saying right now. He's obviously in the zone. He's in he's in the zone. Heaney's in the danger zone, as he stated. So yeah, I'm highly concerned. The danger zone is not a zone you want to be in because it's dangerous, and I don't like where this is headed.
Yeah, I would have to agree. If you want to take an Angels pitcher, I'd try to get yourself some of Hector Santiago, who quietly I think is going to be the guy to emerge out of that staff this year. But yeah, I would have to agree. Just the mention of the danger zone is a little troubling. I keep harping back to what we opened the show with: don't over panic, have some patience. But when you start talking about a pitcher having issues in the range of what a Tommy John surgery, how that kind of begins, that whole process, that's not necessarily an encouraging sign, especially this early in the season. So I'm kind of raising the white flag on that on Heaney right now. Real quick, there was some news talking about Tommy John surgeries. Tyler Kolek, he was the number 2 overall pick by the Marlins back in 2014. He hasn't really turned out to be anything much to this point. He was a high school guy taken ahead of, you ready for this? Taken ahead of Carlos Rodon, Kyle Schwarber, Aaron Nola, Michael Conforto, and Trey Turner. This guy was taken ahead of all of them. And anyway, just wanted to mention he just had Tommy John surgery this week, so he is likely shelved for the 2016 season. And we'll have to wait to see if he ever emerges into something. Another prospect, we got a question from Reddit from Michael IBW who wanted to ask about Kolby. Michael IBW, that's his handle.
IBW?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like the letters IBW. Okay, got it. Okay, cool.
IBW.
Got it.
It can mean a lot of things. I'm not going to start to speculate.
Okay.
So he asked about Kolby Allard, the Braves prospect, and we got the doctor to tell us more. What's that?
What?
Huh? Oh. Kolby Allard. We got the doctor to tell us some more about Kolby Allard's injury. I completely missed what you said.
That I blow wiener or something like that.
Kolby Allard, pitcher for the Braves, underwent fusion surgery in the lower back for a herniated disc. Now, he's had surgery twice on this back at the age of 18. In general, back surgery is a little bit problematic, especially for athletes who do a lot of twisting and bending. You only have to think about Tiger Woods to know that this could be a potential season or career-ending issue. But then you think about guys like Peyton Manning, who had fusion surgery up on his spine, up on his neck, and he did perfectly fine. The lower back, though, is a little bit of a different animal, especially for a pitcher where, again, he has a lot of twisting, a lot of bending, and a lot of torque going through the back. Look for him to have a slow return. The Braves are going to need to nurse him throughout his recovery to see how he does. You push him too soon, and he can re-injure this back or aggravate it to the point where you lose him again for weeks to months. So again, I think the Braves are going to nurse him along. If you're going to see him at all on the mound for the Braves, it's probably going to be after the All-Star break. They're going to be very careful, monitoring his velocity, monitoring the pitch count, and being very careful with this 18-year-old prospect, because if you can keep him healthy, you may have a long career ahead of him. But if you push him too soon, look for this to become problematic throughout the season.
Horrible. And then from
all I heard from that was nurses, an 18-year-old or 18. I mean, that's all I heard. Is he talking about porn or baseball? I don't know what's going on. Is he driving through a tunnel right now? Where is he at? This guy does it all. This guy's multi-talented. This is insane. Now, how many did he say? Nursing, nurses. That's all I can think of. That's all I can get in my head. But I'm guessing it's not a good thing. It's not like what I'm thinking. It's more like this is bad for this young man.
Yeah, and I don't mean to be laughing at this young gentleman's expense, although you did just kind of paint a much funnier picture. But yeah, he's already had a couple surgeries on his lower back fusion. 18 years old. This kid has great stuff when he is healthy, but it seems like he's never healthy. So maybe he is better off in a bed with nurses and Maybachs. And this sounds kind of like a summer, high school kind of movie, right?
Does Parekh does he? I'm picture him hauling around like 6 nurses with him in the Maybach. Well, he kind of travels around doing these videos, doing work for people in other countries, just taking. It's just like he's like Leo DiCaprio in that movie where he hires all the hot flight attendants and he's the fake pilot. Although Dr. Selene Parekh isn't fake, he's the real deal. So, but still, he should bring in some hot nurses, and we should do a special on that for the kids.
That sounds good. And you know what? That was actually a pretty good segue for a guy I wanted to bring up because there was some Brandon Belt backlash on him being a breakout guy this year. People were not too pleased with the implication that he might be a breakout guy this year because apparently people feel like they've been duped because they've heard this every year for the last several years. But I just want to point out this guy will be 28 on April 20th, which for those scoring at home is 420. There's a lot to like just right there alone, whether it be the power numbers from my numbers 27 to the age 30 season or the 420 I referenced. This guy's been having a good spring. He's off to a good start this season, hitting 400. Power's not there yet, but I don't know. I think he's a safe fallback option at first base. But yeah, there was a backlash. So real quick, give me you like anything about Brandon Belt or?
Yeah, I like Brandon Belt. I mean, I don't know how high he's getting drafted. He probably wasn't on my radar because I'm drafting either a hog real early or I'm taking guys like Mark Teixeira and Moreland and Chris Carter, like at the very, very, very end of the draft, and kind of mixing and matching from there. I don't really go the in between routes. I don't really know where he's going right now, but I do like the potential. He could hit 25, 30 bombs this year, no question about it.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I see him at. So I'm sorry to anybody that was offended by the.
Don't apologize to these.
All right, we'll stop there. We'll stop there. All right, we got to wrap up because I don't want to go too long again. But I want to ask you a couple things. Four guys I just wanted to mention that are pretty much out of this world. In addition to the guys we already talked about this week to open things, Aaron Sanchez, Robinson Cano, Brandon Finnegan, and Noah Syndergaard, all dominant performances this week. Cano's the only hitter, but he basically matched Trevor Story with 4 home runs, 7 RBIs, off to a tremendous start. I used to get to see him every day in New York. You get to see him every day now in Seattle. So we got the Cano connection going. Anything you want to say about any of those 4 guys?
Yeah, Cano, man. Last year he had food poisoning. Last year he had a colonoscopy. Last year he had all these sicknesses. Whatever. He had 2, 4 homers at the break. He's at that through 3 games. It's about to get real nasty out here. I was ridiculed for drafting him at the top of the 3rd round in my last fantasy expert draft. Why? Because I didn't think I'd get him because I had to wait the whole way back, and I didn't think he'd be there, even though they told him, he would have been there a round later. Well, I'm like, I don't have the ability to wait another 25 hit. I mean, he was the best second baseman available. Tore it up in spring. I just expected this. I expected this to happen. He's pissed off about last year. He's not done.
Okay, fair enough. And I just want to add about Syndergaard. Syndergaard, mark it down now, is going to be the ace of the Mets rotation, and probably the best stuff on that team starting to come together. And that is a tremendous rotation to be a part of. So I think that's pretty much going out on a pretty good limb to say he's going to be the ace of that rotation, considering Harvey. What's that?
When's Zach Wheeler coming back? Do you have any info on that for me, being in New York?
Yeah, it's probably not going to be towards the second half of the season.
Oh.
Talking about end of May earliest, more like June, July. But we'll see. Yeah, we'll see and how he gets worked in. I actually wanted to bring up kind of an interesting point, and it kind of centers around 2 very prominent players in Joey Bautista and Carlos Correa. And I'm referring to 2 plays that happened regarding the 2 of them this week in opening series. And the technology with baseball, which I really just don't understand how they're implementing this. It's either, I think if you're going to review stuff, you review stuff that is just kind of common sense. So if you don't know what happened in the Yankee home opener, it was a tie game in the, I believe, 7th or 8th inning, and Carlos Correa hit one back to Bautista, who was pitching, weak little grounder, and was running on the grass side of the first baseline. Maybe not, caused Bautista to throw it over his head, threw it into the outfield. Altuve scores from second, run scores. Astros go on to win the game. Girardi protests. The umps say that's a non-reviewable play, even though he was clearly running out of the base path and on the infield grass. Go ahead to the next day, and Jose Bautista sliding into second, swipes at the shortstop's legs to try to break up a double play. They go back, they review that. They say that is a reviewable call. Runs do not score. Game over. Blue Jays lose. Did you see either of these plays? Do you have any idea of what I'm even talking about? And the reason I even mention this is because it almost seems like identical situations, but one is reviewable, one is not reviewable. So Major League Baseball, I'm asking you, where are we going with this? Do you want us to replay, or do you not want us to replay? Because it doesn't seem to make sense how you've deemed what is reviewable and what is not reviewable.
Right, yes, I'm similar with both plays. It sounds like you're a little bitter about the Yankees losing that game. I totally understand. But yeah, I mean, if they're going to review that, they should probably be able to review both of those type of things, because it's a very similar play, in my opinion, or a very similar just type of deal there. So, I mean, I don't see why they couldn't review that when it's almost the identical thing. Makes no sense. It's like, follow the rules. I mean, if Correa is not following the rules and is running on the grass, then they need to be able to challenge that.
Yeah,
not allowed.
I mean, I honestly feel at this point the only thing that you could possibly say should remain a human element and not be able to be reviewed will be a ball and a strike. Other than that, though, if you can review if a player was tagged, if you can review a play at the bag and, overturn an umpire's judgment call on that, then why can't you go back and look? It's clearly obvious in the video where he's running. And yes, I am a little bitter about it, but less about that and more about the failed called strike 3 by home plate umpire Dana DeMuth. Luis Valbuena that opened the game up with a 2-run single on a pitch following what should have been called strike 3. Anyway, I think we've exceeded our time.
Element. You want the human element? Why don't we just – I'm waiting for when we just have technology that just calls every strike, that calls every out, that calls every play correctly. You don't want that?
Didn't they experiment with that? With Tom Glavine had I forgot the name of it. It was like Stat Track or something like that. That they had a computer that was not registering to actually have an effect on the game, but was monitoring the umpires and what was strikes and what were balls as opposed to what they were calling. Something to that effect. It had some impact on Tom Glavine's control, apparently, when he was with the Mets. If anybody remembers exactly what I'm talking about and has a technical name for it, please leave it in the comments. I think we've probably said enough. I think we've overstayed our welcome here this week. You have anybody else you want to mention or anything else you want to make note of?
No, I don't want to bore anybody.
Yeah, I think we've done enough of that already. Hopefully people haven't fallen asleep yet. Hopefully they'll be back for episode 4. Hopefully we'll be able to do an episode 4. If you like this one, please leave the comments. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Submit any questions you have on Twitter, on Reddit. To Tehol, follow him on Razzball, read his articles. And we thank you for giving us an opportunity today to try to enlighten you and not bore you. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time. I guess that'll be it.